Good evening, everybody. I want to welcome you all here to the Prog Monster. My name is Murph, and I am the host of the show. So we're a little bit early here, but I wasn't sure I wasn't going to have the same problem I had this morning, so I wanted to make sure before we got started. I got a full cup, so my mouth won't dry out like a Sahara desert, like it always does. So, before we get started, I'm going to just adjust some of this stuff a little bit. There you go. The topic tonight will be my IQ collection. I'm pretty sure I've done something along this lines with IQ before. I may have done IQ Marillion, or I might have done a neo-prog band one where I talked about the neo-prog bands and IQ. I'm pretty sure, though, I've had this discography pile up here before. I might actually have done this before, so I don't think so, but it could have happened. So what I'm going to do is we'll talk about the discography I have for IQ. I'm going to do it chronologically from their first album through. So they have 13 albums in total. One of them is a double. The rest of them are all singles. I'm missing 5 from the discography. Probably the one that I want the most of those ones is probably Frequency. I think it'll be very good as well. But the ones I have, I'm quite happy with. I think they're one of those bands that does not have any bad albums. Now, there's a couple of albums, I believe, in the middle of their discography, or maybe towards the beginning of their discography, that don't have the same vocalist. And I'm not familiar with either album, so I can't really make too much of a comment on it. Anyways, we're going to get started. It's now 8:01, so we will be doing the discography of IQ, which is a neo-prog band that came out in the early 80s. Early 80s, like 83, 84. This is in a time period where the traditional prog bands had all gone off into the commercial pop realm, and so there was no prog. To be honest with you, when that happened, I pretty much felt that was the end of prog music. There was only half a dozen bands anyways, and none of them were producing anything close to what they used to, so I was pretty much done with it, which was kind of depressing, but I got over it and went into some other music and some other stuff. Only to come back years later and realize that I completely missed the boat here, because you got to understand too, back in the 70s and 80s, the only news about any kind of music you ever got was on the radio. So if they didn't talk about prog bands, I didn't know anything about the ones. I only knew about the ones that I could get stuff at the store with. Some of the magazines might have had stuff, but I didn't see that. And the radio just didn't say much about the other prog bands, so I never really followed them much. Wasn't until MTV came, and then I started seeing a little bit more of that stuff, but by that time, prog bands were gone, or weren't around, in my opinion, until my friend came out and said, oh yeah, there's this band called Marillion that are very kind of Genesis-like. So I bought a cassette, their first one, Script for a Jester's Tear, and I liked it a lot. And then I didn't do anything about it, which was typical back then. So I just figured, well, no point in getting into one band that is making prog music. What's the point to that? So I just didn't pursue it. You know, this is the typical thinking that goes through a young person's brain like me. Anyways, I've since discovered there was a horde of prog bands originally, and then another horde that came out in the mid-80s, and IQ was one of those bands. And to be honest, I think they are the best, maybe the best ones still going of those neo-prog bands from the 80s. So they have I have a total of 8 of their 13 studio albums. Several of them have already been in my playlist. Some of them are getting ready to go in my playlist. And so for me, IQ came on the scene. I'm going to say probably, I don't know how long ago is it that we did Ben's Challenge, but they were one of the first bands that he gave me early on, maybe the fourth or the fifth episode. So that's about 4 years ago now, 3 years anyways. So about 3 years ago, I started with them, getting into them. Didn't get any of their albums for a bit because they were hard to get. And the first one I got was the Dark Matter, which I quite liked. And then after that, it was just collecting time. So we'll start by going through their discography, talking about them. And if you want to talk about any other thing than that, you can as well. So the first, over there, going to need these or I won't be able to see anything. So this is their debut album. It's kind of a strange album. At least the cover is. There it is there. This is Tales of a Lush Addict, released back in 1983, I believe. Kind of a weird title for an album, right? Not sure what they were getting at there. So this features Paul Cook on the drums, Tim Isu on bass, Mike Holmes on guitar, Peter Nichols on voice, and Martin Orford on keyboard. So a lot of these is pretty much the standard band for these guys. This particular one is a single CD, but comes with a book as well. So it does open up. CD on this side, and I'll just give you a look at the album on the inside in case you're interested in that. So this is what it looks like on the inside. It's actually quite a nice booklet, even though it is cardboard, and I'm not a big fan of this. So this was released September 15th, 1983, when I was 19. And I got it last year when I was not 19. So there it is. And it's got a booklet that comes with it too, which is always good. Showing a little bit more about the band and the album, the debut album from this band. It's kind of this creepy picture here too. Early on, this band was a little bit different than they are now. I haven't listened to this album much yet, maybe a couple times, as I'm not gone in a kind of chronological listening pattern with these guys because I didn't start out that way. But this one I think will be decent enough. More like the earlier stuff. So the first three albums to me are kind of similar. So that's the first one, a Lush Addict, released September 15th, 1983. So their second album came out a couple years later. This was my first album introduced to. Ben introduced me to this album, and I liked it immediately, but I didn't like the vocalist right away. So this, when I see this, it kind of reminds me of Quest for Fire, and I think anybody who's seen the movie will know exactly why. But it just reminds me of that. So this has this particular version of this album, which is a remastered version, has the 7 traditional tracks that came with the album originally, including Outer Limits, which I think is a great tune. And then it has 4 bonus tracks: Dans le Parc de Chateau Noir, the 1,000 Days demo, the Magic Roundabout demo, and the Corners 2010 remix. So Corners is also on this album, as is the Magic Roundabout and 1,000 Days are all on this album. The other song is a new one, which wasn't on the original album. So, but still a solid album. I like the greenness. I like the album cover. I like the greenness to this album. It's got those quirky characters that you've seen on the first album going on here as well. This is the one. This one is waiting its turn in my playlist, but it's about halfway down, waiting its turn. There's another one further up that will go in before it. So here's a nice shot of the band and the boys. So this one was released in '85, if I'm correct. I'm just looking to see what it says here. Yeah, so this features again Paul Cook on the drums, Tim Isu on fretless bass and other basses, Mike Holmes on guitars, Peter Nichols on the vocals, and Mark Orford on keyboards. So the same lineup from the first album. This is a little bit of a stronger album, I think. It's got a lot of that quirky artwork in it as well. And then, of course, there's a picture of the band members as well. So, yeah, this was my initial introduction to the band. I've probably listened to this album maybe a dozen times now, but it hasn't had its turn being the playlist. It probably would have been the first one I bought had it been available, but it took a while for it to become available, and I got it as soon as it was. This is their second album, IQ. It's called The Wake. The next one up I've only listened to once. And that, wrong one. Go the wrong way. I don't know what I'm thinking. So this is Nomzamo. Bonus tracks. Not the best of covers. I'm not sure what a Nomzamo is. If anybody knows, they're welcome to tell me. This has 8 tracks in total, plus some bonus tracks on it as well. There's a different version of No Lost, Love Lost with a piano vocal version, and a Common Ground, which is live, which is the last track on the album. So we're going to pull this out. I do kind of like this color scheme here, but this album is the least appealing of the ones that I've seen so far. So let's take a look at it. So again, the members of the band, this is their 3rd studio album, are Paul Cook on drums, Tim Isu on bass guitars and bass pedals, rhythm guitars and backing vocals, Mike Holmes on acoustic and electric guitars and guitar synthesizers. And then you have, this is the first album with a different vocalist here. This is P.I. Mennel on vocals and Martin Orford on keyboards and backing vocals. So I have listened to this, and maybe that's part of the reason why I didn't care for it as much, because of the backing, because of the lead vocals have changed. Mickey Groom backing vocals, Ray Careless sax, Jules on vocals, duet on Color Flow, and then Philip Erb on Emu 2 programming. So a few extra musicians here. Their 3rd studio album. Not sure when this one came out. I'm just going to look through the back here, and it probably won't tell me. When an album's a little bit older, when they remaster it, they tend not to tell you much about when it was originally recorded. Most of the time, you have to kind of look that up a bit. But I think it was 87. 87 sounds about right. Different vocalists, so it's a little bit different sounding than some of the other, but everybody else on here has been on here before with the band for a while. So Nomzamo, I'm not sure what that means, but that's the 3rd studio album. Now we're going to jump ahead a little bit. There's a few in there that I don't have. The next one that I do have, why do I keep grabbing from that stack like that? So this one is Subterrania, released in '97. This is very close to their best album. I haven't done a ranking of them, but I think this has got to be a top 5 for them easily. This is a double album. That might hurt it when it comes to ranking time, just because it's a little bit long, but this is quite good. There's a lot of really good stuff on this album. This is the more kind of modern sounding IQ. This is, to me, they started with this, probably with this album becoming really good and really strong. I like this album a lot. It did spend some time in my playlist. I think it got all the way up to my favorite album for a while. Again, Paul Cook on the drums, Mike Holmes on guitars. Peter Nichols is back on this album, doing lead vocals and backing vocals. John Jowett is on this album, playing bass and backing vocals. And then you have Martin Orford again on keyboards and backing vocals. So some of the original members here, like four of them, and having Peter Nichols is quite a vocalist. I didn't initially like him, which is kind of weird, and I've grown to like him. This one is just some pictures and stuff like that. They tend to be pretty colorful albums. Subterrania here, it looks like some kind of it's like they're in an ice field somewhere in this Antarctic or something. This is a pretty solid album, though. Highly recommended. It wouldn't be the first one I would recommend to buy, only because it's a double album. You might need something less imposing to kind of sink your claws into. This is over 100 minutes in length, which is well out of my wheelhouse sound. This is the problem that I have quite often with double albums, but this one is good. I kind of like this one a lot. I think I like the second disc better than the first disc, but it's pretty good. Both pretty solid. So that's the fourth album on the list here. Next up, I think this might be their weakest album. It's still good. It did get its time in my playlist. Did decent enough, but I don't think it's as strong as some of the other stuff. I do like the album cover. Although this is called Seventh House, I'm not really sure exactly what's going on here. I think it's some kind of ritual, but I'm not sure. It's kind of a strange cover, but it's pretty decent looking. It's a red. Red is a prominent color, red and orange. Same with the disc and the inside of the book. These are angels doing something, but I'm not sure what exactly they're doing, and I almost lost the disc there. The problem is with this one is that I just noticed that the holder is broken, so I'm going to have to get another one and replace it. I don't want to damage it, so we'll just leave it out until then so I don't forget. And some more stuff on the inside. Almost science fiction like. This album came out a couple years after. I think this is from 99. Paul Cook on drums and percussion, Michael Holmes on guitars, synthesizers and keyboards, John Jowett back on the bass and backing vocals, Peter Nichols lead and backing vocals, and Martin Orford keyboards and backing vocals. So pretty solid. The only real change here is John Jowett, who is quite good on this album as well. Also plays with Drifting Sun, who's another band I quite like. The big sound for me with IQ is very kind of Genesis-like a modern, good solid production, good sounding Genesis. Like this is to me what Genesis might sound like if they continued to make prog with Peter Gabriel all the way up to now. I think they could sound something like these guys. So that's the Seventh House. Now we're getting into what I consider to be some of the strongest albums out there. 3 of the strongest albums they've put out. So this one, this is going to be a top 5 for sure. It's the one that really set the tone for me, which is Dark Matter. It's a dark album, obviously. Only 5 tracks on here, all really good. Among the best of their albums, the best of the song. Sacred Sound, really good. Red Dust Shadow, fantastic tune. You Never Will, this maybe the weakest song on the album, but still really good. Born Brilliant, and then Harvest of Souls, which is absolutely classic. Harvest of Souls, the Supper's Ready version of their music. Again, on this album, you've got Paul Cook, Michael Holmes, John Jowett, Peter Nichols, and Martin Orford. So that, to me, is the classic band. This is a fantastic album. One of the best albums released in this century, I think. If I had to rank, and I think I did this actually, I think this actually won it. I think this was my favorite album released in the 21st century. It's so good. I can't stress it enough. And it'll be eligible this year for masterpiece album. I think it's like a shoe-in. This will be one of the shoe-ins this year. There's a couple of shoe-ins. This will be one, probably. Secret Treaties from BOC will definitely be two of the albums that are absolutely masterpieces. So this one, really good, released in 97, fantastic album from IQ. Next up, this could be the album that replaces the last one. This is a really strong album. The Road to Bones from IQ, for dark cover too. You can see they've both got this dark kind ofness going on. This one is quite heavy as well. Lots of solid albums. This is the next one to go into my playlist. I'm not sure if I like this more. It's still fairly new to me. Probably have only listened to it maybe half a dozen times, but very strong album. If you're going to start in with IQ, this is a good one to start in. Much darker looking than some of their predecessor albums, but the art on these albums are great on all of them. Yeah, so this features Paul Cook. Oh, they get a different keyboardist here. So Tim Isu is also here. I don't see what's his name? I don't see him on this album. Maybe he's not on here. Oh, I was looking at the wrong spot. Here we are. So Paul Cook on drums and percussion. Neil Durant takes over on the keyboards from Orford. Tim Isu is back playing bass here. Michael Holmes still on guitars, and Peter Nichols lead vocals. So they've only switched out a few guys a few times. Pretty much everybody is pretty solid here. This is, like I said, a really strong album. I don't know if this will be my favorite, but it's definitely going to give some of these other ones a real big challenge. So Road to Bones, IQ. And the most recent album out, which I'm kind of having mixed feelings about it now. I liked it a lot last year. It doesn't seem to be holding up as much as I thought it would, but it's not doing badly. I just think it would be, I don't know, maybe I overestimated it. Maybe I just haven't been listening to it clearly enough. This is Dominion, their most recent album coming out last year. This was my album of the year last year too. For What's New, which would now be the new prog album. This would be in the new prog album things. But it's a good, solid album. It is in a kind of cardboard book form, which is not bad. This is another kind of very dark album cover. That's what they're known for, is their dark album covers and their neo-prog music. This one is good, though. It comes with another book. Dominion is the name of the album, in case you haven't seen it, released in 2025. Another picture of them. They're getting a little bit older here. Picture of all the guys here. This features Paul Cook on drums, Neil Durant on keyboards, Tim Isu on bass, guitar, Michael Holmes on guitar, keyboards, and backing vocals, and Peter Nichols on lead and backing vocals as well. So pretty much a throughout their career, it's been pretty much at least three of the guys have been on every album, and a couple of the guys have come and gone. Actually, I think two of the guys, Mike Holmes and Paul Cook, have been on all the albums that I know of. And then Isu has switched out with Durant, and Joe Jowett has switched out as well in there at different times. And Peter Nichols left for a couple of albums, I believe, and came back. So that's my entire IQ discography. I may have done this at some other point. So if you've seen the other episode, then you just get a bonus episode. That's all. I really like these guys a lot. They're not my favorite neo-prog band. That still falls to Marillion. However, Marillion only has the 4 albums I like, and these guys have a host of albums I have not pursued yet. So I suspect at some point this band will overtake them and become my favorite of the neo-prog bands from the 80s. So anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Into the Progverse, featuring my IQ collection. If you got any comments about any of the albums, you can do that in the comments section. If you have any questions, you can also put that there. And if you could hit the like and subscribe, that helps the channel. And I will be back next Sunday night with another episode of Into the Progverse. I haven't decided yet. I think I'm going to do what I've been doing, which is bouncing back and forth between years and topics. So I did the topic this week, so I think I'm going to do another year next week. We may go again into the 80s, or I may jump quite a bit further ahead to something in the 2020s, do something there, just jump around a bit. So I'm thinking about that, and this will be posted after I decide which one I'm going to do. And we will see you all next week here on the Prog Monster. Take care and see you then. Take care. Goodbye.